Oh, it's Friday. It's an international Friday, boys. How you feeling, Visho?
Fine. I know you discussed it before.
Fine.
There's absolutely no reason to stop. You were having a lovely start to the season.
Yeah.
There's no reason for this.
Same time every year,
Yeah.
but it's a surprise every time, isn't it?
Who was having a lovely start to the season, Vish?
It's a good point,
Even
actually.
there, I would rather take that. I would rather take that.
Really?
I'd rather do Grimsby over and over again
Yeah.
than
You're
this.
up and running
Than one
against
international
Burnley.
weekend, yeah.
Okay. All right, fine. Well, let's talk about Premier League things. Oh, we'll get to them. Don't worry. This is a thing, Vish. You could have had... It's an international break. That means a break from all the crap. You could have had that, but no. We've had to talk about Daniel Levy. And don't worry, everybody. We've got a sprinkling of Manchester United in there as well. So, yes, Daniel Levy, it's announced yesterday he's going to be stepping down as the executive chairman of Tottenham Hotspur, or Tottenham, as I believe he likes to call them, after almost 25 years in charge of the club.
And after he was told to step down.
Repeatedly by lots of people for many years, he's finally got the message. Do you think that's what it is? Do you think the messaging just didn't actually reach him?
Maybe. Well, I mean,
They're saying what?
It's the people above him, haven't they, that have told him essentially to step down.
Well, he's still a minority shareholder, isn't he? So he's still involved, Spurs fans, don't worry. But yes, it, as you say, Jim, it was reported that the decision was taken out of Levy's hands. Now, Tottenham Hotspur are owned by a company called the Tavistock Group, which is owned by the Lewis family, and they have agreed for Levy to leave his position amid a belief that change will help the club's ambitions of greater and sustained sporting success. Daniel Levy, in a way, delivered them the Europa League. They're in the Champions League now, Peter. They got the eyes on the big prize.
Well, were they waiting for a success story to kind of end Levy's association with the club?
And was that the problem?
Well, was that the problem?
They did wait a long time.
He has spent a lot of money the last few seasons, so they probably are a bit like, well, we're not getting much of a return out of this on the field. Levy's a very sort of like 1990s kind of person, isn't he? I suppose he's sort of got his fingers in all of the different sort of parts of the stadium build, the resurrection of the Tottenham kind of area sort of thing. He's big into the whole kind of residential properties and all the things, all the money making schemes around Spurs itself. So I think they just kind of want a more formal and more modern person at the top of the tree.
To me, that sounds modern. I don't think that's 90s.
Yeah, but I think he's involved in everything from the NFL to Beyonce concerts to everything.
To sitting on the bench on the
League Cup game. And so like they want something a bit more modern. We want the football person to look after the football stuff. We want the residential properties man to look after the residential properties man. Okay. And he was up there fixing pipes in people's flats.
Well, they say
I promise.
They say he's a workaholic, Peter.
He's a workaholic, yeah.
So what you're saying is delegation's what you need.
Yeah,
if you want to be a record breaker.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to ignore that incredibly.
You brought the 90s into this.
Anachronistic.
To be fair, I think I've gone back to 70s.
70s, I think, possibly. I'm not going to pretend that the difference between an executive chairman and a chief executive, they've got rid of one post, and they're retaining obviously a CEO. But I mean, they are a high-spending club, and they've not really won anything. So I think the people upstairs and the people who are in the stadium watching the football probably got every right to ask for more.
Well, I think the thing with Levy, though, that is often kind of brushed over is how Spurs are really, really well run. They're actually really self-sustaining, and that stadium generates a lot of money.
They're over $1 billion in debt because of the stadium, but they're still over $1 billion in debt.
But the value of the club, I mean, it was 80. Reports saying it was 80 million when he came in, and now they're 2.8 billion or something. And lest we forget, the real achievement of Daniel Levy's reign, of course, is they were invited into that European Super League.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, God, what we could have had.
I mean, you sort of look at Spurs. They've always been quite kind of modern in the way they've approached their kind of like commercial stuff, because like they were the first sports club in the world to float on the stock exchange. Like people kind of forget that. There was a lovely little kind of piece. I can't remember it on the BBC, but they made the point that Irving Scholar, who had it before Sugar, he took over Spurs when they were in debt by £5 million.
Oh, right.
Doesn't that sound great?
It really does.
Being in debt by £5 million.
Sort that out in an afternoon.
That's one noodle sponsor, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Exactly. Just sell, I don't know, Teddy Sheringham or whatever they had at the time. when we
sell anyone to Chelsea and just put a sell-on fee in it.
True, although it was
do that in a
very
season.
different Chelsea back then, Jim. Well, Now, the Lewis family is said to believe that success on the pitch has not been consistent enough over the years, and they're aware that some of the supporters' discontent against Levy in recent years as well. They've been very aware of that, haven't we all? So I mean, Vish, it's very much when one talks about Daniel Levy, you're always compelled to talk about the off-the-pitch stuff, as has just been chatted about, like the stadium, the training facilities, all that kind of thing, and then the on-pitch stuff. And clearly he did one pretty well. I don't think people would argue about that enough. But the on-pitch success is where fans are really going to judge someone.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where he got the most ire. That was where, because he wasn't willing to invest as much money on the on-field stuff. It's the reason that it's the reason some Spurs fans think that they parted ways in quote unquote too early with Pochettino, because he got to a stage where they weren't willing to rebuild and build on Pochettino's success, and they end up essentially losing a manager that they coveted, albeit with, the last 12 months of that tenure, the results were trending one way, but they were trending one way because of a lack of investment. There's also the side to it of Tottenham constantly missing out on marquee signings that fans felt would have pushed them, I suppose, further up quicker, as it were, because you talk about them now and they're a Champions League club. They've just won the Europa League. And in many ways, it's probably the perfect time to go for him, considering where they are back in, the fact that the squad is refreshed, and they've managed to come out of a period where they were over-reliant on Harry Kane and Son Heung-min. They've got a young squad. They have recruited surprisingly well this window, despite the fact that they've missed out on two high-profile, middle-of-the-park targets that would have enhanced them immeasurably, especially set against the James Maddison injury. And they've got Thomas Frank, a manager who is a project manager as well. So I totally understand all the gripes against Daniel Levy, and I totally understand why, for the purposes of our job talking about football, it's quite hard to look at him and be like, well, this has been a success.
Yep.
And then you go to their stadium and maybe in a year's time you see them play, and you'll realise that, considering when he took them over, they were on the verge of essentially becoming like a staple of the bottom half of the league.
Yeah.
Because that's where they were in 2000.
No, that is right, yeah.
Well, in 2000. And now they have a stadium that is the envy of everyone, that is a blueprint of new stadiums that are going to pop up around the world. And they have a really exciting young squad that are about to play in the Champions League.
I think that, and I agree with you. I think, Jim, Vish mentioned in Pochettino, that was the time, wasn't it? That was the time when they reached the Champions League final. And for Spurs fans, and for a lot of us, you're thinking, right, okay, they're now a Champions League club. They're going to be in it every year. They were challenging for the Premier League under Pochettino, playing scintillating football. It's right, now then, can we kick on and can we stay in this bracket? And Pochettino, it doesn't quite happen, and Visha just talked about that there, goes away, and then suddenly they're in this sort of purgatory of, that matter, it doesn't quite work. And I understand they were back in the Champions League, and there was a few bits and pieces there, but it felt like that was the moment, that was the time really, that a lot of it had been building up to that, and they didn't capitalise.
Yeah, I think you're right to mention, the managers that came after that as well, because that's been the frustration, I think, hasn't it? That they've, like you said, they got to a Champions League final, they're qualifying for it regularly, and you think you just need a bit more to push on, just a little bit more. Levy always seemed reluctant to take those steps, and I think what he was trying, or his kind of attempt at taking that step, was often get the big name manager in, wasn't it? It was like, look, we're a high status club now who can get a Mourinho, who can get a Conte. And for whatever reason, that didn't quite work out.
The best years, certainly with Mourinho, were behind him.
Absolutely, yeah, as well. And Conte was always a bit of a strange fit, especially following Mourinho. So I think maybe it's not entirely fair to say that he was reluctant to try to push them on, but I think he went about it in the wrong way. He was looking at those managers rather than essentially just freeing up the money for the squad. And I think Vish is right to talk about the window they've had. Like, it's right up there with the best windows in the league. I think just all of the players that have come in and improve their first team.
And for the first time in the last 10 years, he seems to have spent a lot of money properly rather than spending it at the wrong time with the wrong managers in the wrong window. You sort of look at how close. I mean, how Liverpool won that Champions League final, how the penalty was awarded. It's real sliding doors, isn't it? Like, if they'd have won that fixture, it may have been a very, very different legacy for Daniel Levy.
But had Rasmus Højlund's header gone in the Europa League final and all the rest of it, you're right to say that. But I think
I always thought that handball was so egregious.
Such a
shitty way to lose the final.
Yeah, I think speaking of that Europa League final, obviously Postecoglou wins that final and gets them back into the Champions League through the back door. That's what the Europa League offers. For a club to finish where they did in the table and so on, we've talked about that. It seemed very unlikely, but they're back in the Champions League and they're making the most of that with the signings, as you say. it was right to move Postecoglou on. And I think from what the board is doing, it's now right to move Levy on because you mentioned the state, you mentioned all that sort of stuff off the field. Okay, that's in the bag, that's safe. And now the new manager's in, you've got the team. It's like, right, now do we kick on? We've got a second chance, really, because of that Europa League win. And it's, Levy, sorry, mate. It's got to be with someone else at the helm now.
I mean, I guess we move on pretty soon, but I think before we go, it's worth remembering that this isn't really a football story. They may have the right make-up 3 or 4 matches in the season. We think that Thomas Frank's going to do a good job, and they've signed pretty well in the close season. But fundamentally, this isn't really a footballing story. It's a chance for them to bring more finances in. Amanda Staveley is apparently circling around.
Here we go. Would you recommend it as a Newcastle United fan, Peter? Could you recommend?
You can't argue that she hasn't been transformative for Newcastle United, I suppose, before she got booted out. But I think it's not really a footballing story. They want more money invested, but they just want a better return on the money that they're going to get, presumably. It's a very compulsive
more
situation.
Trophies, mate. Trophies.
Well, it doesn't really matter.
Well, how do we get money? Trophies. All right, let's get some of them.
I don't think it is how you get money.
Well, I mean, it literally is.
I don't know. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
Literally, look at what Daniel Levy's done with Tottenham.
Well, but so for winning the Premier League,
a way, but it's not the only way.
To get
and
investment
from outside is more reliable because
Deloitte list at the start of 2025 had Spurs as the 9th richest club in the world, above Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean, and in that time, they hadn't even won the Europa League. They weren't in the Champions League.
Yes.
And I think that's the important thing to say about what Levy's done.
Yeah, because this is without sugar daddy investors, right?
Yeah.
Which is what was
to a point.
earlier.
Yeah. But you were saying about this is the last chance to get in, to break into the Champions League.
Well, another chance.
Yeah, another chance. But there would have been another chance because of the bed that. Well, essentially because of the nest that Levy was able to feather. Because while they have spent, a decent amount of money in this window because of the Champions League, I think they would have also spent, a similar amount without the Champions League, even if they're still in the Europa, because of how well they've done everything else around the football side of things.
But had they lost that final, they wouldn't have had any European football. So again, to capitalise and to be able to attract certain players, then that's what they did. Well, look, he's stepping down. I don't think any or many Spurs fans will
He'll be at Man United soon enough, trying to clean that up. Clean that muck up.
Is that?
He's demonstrably a very successful businessman. So why wouldn't a club be looking at him?
It's not a terrible shout, in terms of what they would want. Yeah.
CEO.
Is Sir Jim Ratcliffe not a successful businessman?
Ratcliffe has got lots of Ineos responsibilities. His funny little cars.
He's got a knighthood.
What have you got?
Yeah. Well, in other Premier League news, this Man United, Ruben Amorim is reportedly considering taking his Manchester United players on a series of in-season bonding trips.
Ooh.
That's nice, isn't it?
Well.
Yeah, I mean, so the thinking behind this is apparently that they don't have basically any games on a Wednesday or in midweek until December. So it's like just racking up a load of Ryanair flights a good idea in that time. You're just going to knacker your players out with all these little mini breaks in the midweek.
I mean, with all the money that was spent, get some of the staff back. Could do that. Yeah, so they're mid-season breaks because, as you say, Jim, they're out of Europe. They're, I believe, now out of the Carabao Cup. And they're currently scheduled to only have one midweek game before Christmas.
Do your games over Zoom, guys. That's what I do.
Yeah,
you do that.
It's an idea.
This Premier League campaign could have been an email.
Exactly. Not a very good one.
Yeah, well, Amorim said it makes sense to make the most of the extra preparation time by building the relationships inside his squad. He feels trips to the Algarve or even the Middle East would allow the players to spend more time in each other's company and strengthen their bonds as a part of a unit.
They did that in Malaysia and it went terribly.
That's a longer flight.
It is a longer flight.
It's still quite a long flight to the Middle East, though, isn't it?
Which is why Algarve. Yeah. And he speaks the language as well. They're away there.
Yeah, he knows the country.
Yeah,
exactly.
I would
be Dos Cerveza.
Yeah, well, whatever it is in Portuguese.
Yeah, any language will do.
Any language will do. Whatever it is in Portuguese.
Yeah, well, Jamie Carragher said that Ruben Amorim might have lost his job already if he wasn't so good looking. What do you think of that, Peter?
I don't think he's up there with the most Hansi men of the Premier League, your Parkers of this world.
I often thought this about you at Absolute Radio.
Well, okay. Well, absolute Uggo in the Uggo section.
No, as in if you weren't so handsome and sexy,
I'd be on drive
they would
time.
have binned you off.
Right,
due
okay.
to your rampant unprofessionalism
and stealing.
and terrible personality.
Yeah. And smell.
stealing.
They used to say that about Rob Edwards when Luton Town were in the Premier League a couple of seasons ago, that whenever they'd lose, they would just put him up, and he was so dreamy that you'd be like, lay off him.
Lay off him.
But sometimes if you, they'll still be up on social media, but if you go back and look through like the Instagram or the Twitter X comments, on Twitter, of Edwards' post-match, the quote tweets are full of essentially women and men without an interest in football going, "Who is that?"
I had no idea of your form.
Does work,
football.
yeah.
It's worth pointing out, Pete. You called this, didn't you?
Right.
Man United's little
What, that they were doing
mini
little
breaks.
kind of mini breaks around. Did I? I throw out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just nice to get one winner, isn't it?
I was about to say something.
Literally 2 weeks ago. How can you not remember it?
I don't know what I did last night.
Yeah, again, rampant unprofessionalism.
I'm not writing this down. I'm not going to perjure myself.
Yeah, but turn up sober. Yeah. So I don't know, Vish. I mean, you didn't want an international break, but what about a mid-season break?
I think it's fine. I think it's a very good idea, actually. Could do with a bit more training, though. That would be a nice use of spare time.
Well, presumably they're not just going to go over there and drink, are they?
No, I
It might
imagine it's
help.
probably...
They're definitely not going.
change of heart
They're definitely not going to one of those options and going there for drink.
That's true.
I mean, surely this is pre-Ratcliffe, right? This will get filtered down and filtered down and filtered
say,
down.
yeah.
until
They're
it's just
going
like
to
laser
Leeds.
Minehead, Man
There's
United,
no
Man
way.
United, the Minehead trip.
They're not leaving this island.
You can have Isle of Wight.
Yeah. What, in December?
Isle of Wight in December.
Do you remember when
Blackgang Chime.
all right. You can leave the country. Isle of Man. Yeah.
Do you remember last season when Manchester United asked Manchester City if they could borrow, if they could basically tag on to their private jet
Yes.
for the Ballon d'Or
was
Awards?
so good.
And Man City's response was, "Sorry, we're full."
That's so good.
Do you think Manchester United were like, "Oh, can we come on one of your Euro trips?
Yeah.
You're playing midweek. We'll get off. You won't even notice us. We'll be at the back."
Yeah, totally. Oh, blimey. Yeah, so if you do get on like a Ryanair, an EasyJet flight around these mid-season breaks, then do check out the back of the plane. You might find the Man United squad there. Well, they might want to avoid Tanzania for their in-season bonding
They
trips.
will. They definitely will.
I thought they would, Peter, but just in case there was any, just in case Sir Jim saw a really good deal,
Yeah.
I want to make sure he doesn't
He's
go
got
for
a
it.
bolt hole in Tanzania.
Well, this is because Nigerian side FC Abuja and Zanzibar side JKU SC were. I don't know why we bothered naming the side.
well,
Hang on a minute. Nigerian side
It's
plays that. I
important
need
to
to
show-
know who it was.
sure the be bothered to
True.
respect.
Well, they were recently playing a pre-season friendly there. However, the game was forced to pause in the 77th minute when a swarm of bees flew over the pitch, and we knew this because all the players and everybody near the was there a running track or certainly near the pitch? They were all just lying flat on their faces on the ground.
It looks like.
I don't know. Is that how you deter bees?
Well, it just feels like it looks like everyone was planking, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Quite a
in-game
throwback,
plank.
actually.
Yeah.
I mean, are these particularly violent or poisonous bees? Because they all looked like.
I mean, they all have
they
a
were kind of frightened.
Bees here can sting you and it hurts.
Sure,
But
but
in more exotic places, goodness knows.
That happened earlier this summer in the cricket. There was a swarm of something.
They sort of migrate, don't they? They don't sort of.
And it happened in an international game, and all the the England and the India players lay on the floor.
So they
Wow.
did.
Yeah.
I mean,
Is that where they
it's
got it
more,
from?
I guess cricket pitches are more kind of open. Like cricket stadiums are more open.
Yeah,
than,
yeah.
Mind you, that
Yeah.
was probably quite open
That
as
was
well. To be
quite
fair,
open.
yeah.
Turns out they were in the cricket example. Turns out they were ladybirds
Hey, lady
rather
birds.
than bees. But yeah,
Oh,
They
that's
start hitting them for
adorable.
6.
yeah, because they're red as well. So
Yeah.
you get confused with the ball.
Indeed,
Yeah.
yeah. Just swing your bat, boys. You get a few extra runs. Well, yeah.
I think the ball's far away because it's little.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so mind how you go if you go to Tanzania, but a beautiful country, as I understand. Right, coming up after this, the Three Lions are back.
It's a championship venue, so no VAR tonight.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. Yes, England v Andorra, Saturday, 5 p.m. at Villa Park.
Nice.
Oh,
Like it.
Peter.
Because of Coldplay. They're not
Yeah.
playing at Wembley.
Well, that's right, yeah. Due to Coldplay's current run of concerts at Wembley, England will be playing at Villa Park.
You say that like Coldplay have like qualified for another round of something.
Sounds
They
like
got a
it.
game at Wembley, so
Maybe this Coldplay concert will cost this CEO his job.
Yeah, well, perhaps, Peter.
They get battered by Andorra.
Yeah, if the stadium is 75% full or above, Coldplay will play an extra night.
Are we starting World Cup qualifiers really late this year? I feel like we should have got through about a year's worth of qualifiers.
Well, so some
I
groups...
know some groups have started, but
Yeah, well, it's England, what will be 3 games deep?
yeah.
And some other teams, whereas those with only 4 teams in the group,
right.
that extra, or one fewer team, of course, seems to mean that they start quite a bit later. Because there are teams who are playing their first game of the group tonight, like Northern Ireland played their first game of qualifying.
It's quite fun when it's that condensed, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quite entertaining.
It is fun, isn't it, Jim?
Yeah,
It is a bit of fun.
International football.
You sped us through that first section there. You were really, and I know why. It's because you wanted to get to international football. I saw what you did. It's
my Friday too.
It is your Friday too. But you got a little bit of joy in your voice there at the idea of England at Villa Park, and I agree with that little spark of joy because I really like it when England go on the road. Coldplay we have to thank for that, which is obviously a confusing feeling as well.
Whose first game in charge of England was at Villa Park? Do you remember? Manager was obviously
Keegan?
No.
Sven. The
Sven.
late great Sven-Göran Eriksson. Yeah.
Well, there we go.
There we are, you see.
It's been a while. Again, it's your Friday too.
Yes, of course, England beat Andorra 1-0 away in their last World Cup qualifier. So it bodes well for an England victory
Got
tomorrow.
through what you worried about.
It's a platform to build on, isn't it?
It's always pleasing to keep a clean sheet, although I will never forget to my dying day that moment in like the 89th minute or whatever it was when Andorra broke forward, and I'm thinking, why are we hanging on? Why are we
They are a ski resort.
Yeah.
The way that Tommy Tuchel is setting up his England side and his call-ups and stuff, it's like he's been bothered by a swarm of bees,
Yes.
and he's
Yeah.
just trying to get it out. He's just, oh fuck, oh god, get it out! I'm being attacked by bees.
Yeah.
It's almost like because of the
Ruben
part-time
Loftus-Cheek.
nature of the job, he just keeps forgetting he manages England, and then suddenly he's got to pick a squad. He's like, oh,
Ruben,
what?
Ruben in the middle.
All right,
Thank you.
Let's have a look at previous squads and tournaments. Yeah, okay, and he's gone back to 2018.
Yeah.
So the population of Andorra is about 81,000.
Yeah,
Do you- do you-
they shouldn't. I mean, they shouldn't have any trouble at home.
Yeah, Fish,
Kind of.
I'll come to you with this, Fish. Do you ever wonder if you were born in one of these countries? Do you think, could I have ever warmed the bench for San Marino or Liechtenstein or Andorra? It's gone through your head.
For someone who respects football, Marcus, it's a very regressive and childish way of approaching international football. You've got to be pretty bloody good to be in international football. haven't
You're
you?
only saying that because your answer's no, because my answer's yes.
Yeah, there you go.
But surely the carrot is really, really motivating.
The carrot's
from a
bigger,
young
I
age
suppose,
if you've got
yeah.
a chance of
I
representing
suppose,
your
yeah.
country.
Well, the carrot's closer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look,
I'd be a little bit annoyed because they're all very defensive. Like, that Andorra game.
it's not your game, is it?
No, they only
Yeah.
have 17%. I'm not playing that much without the ball.
No,
I'd do something else.
You pass it up.
Yeah, I'd do something else.
Yeah, sorry.
He's banging goals in.
Yeah.
and-
Waste
and
of
sevens
Isn't
on a
my
Thursday.
style of play.
Well, yeah,
so
waste
I'm
of
going to turn down
time.
a call up.
I'm going to go over to Spain and try my
Yeah, indeed.
Well, one of these regions that need independence, and there's only about 100 of you. I'll do that. Yeah.
We'll get a team together. Well, England are currently 3 wins from 3 in qualifying for the 2026 World Cup. Great start for Thomas Tuchel on paper. They beat Albania 2-0. Latvia 3-0, of course. Both wins at home. That win away. Yet to concede a goal. On paper, Jim, it's looking very rosy for England.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's been thrilling so far, isn't it? That 1-0 win, I'd sort of forgotten about it.
can't
And
get
I'm
away
angry about it all over again.
But it was nice for Noddy Madueke, who was the man of the match.
He had a good game, I suppose.
That's
Harry Kane
literally-
got another goal.
He
Like,
did.
He was almost apologetic as he
Yeah.
put that one in, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Understandably.
yeah. I mean, Wayne Rooney was asked recently about this, and he just said, "Don't judge Tuchel on what's already happened."
That's
for England."
always the wise thing with qualifying campaigns, isn't it? They almost never bear any reflection on the
What about
tournaments
what about judging him on all the other stuff?
Yeah, well,
Where
indeed.
does that come in?
Yeah, well, in a bit. But he said, he talked about these nonsense games where the team just set up behind a blah blah blah, and I was a bit like, okay, fine, I get that.
You simply have to win those, though. Win.
What happened against Senegal though? That was a chance, and
Yeah.
they battered us 3-1.
Yeah, like you said, they had a plan on yesterday's show.
Apparently, it's important to have a plan.
It is. Have a plan.
Does it worry you then when Ruben Loftus-Cheek said he'd completely forgotten about playing for England?
But then I think that also...
Refreshing honesty.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think that also reflects what Ruben Loftus-Cheek is to Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah.
We talked about obviously managers have their favourite players and stuff like that. And Loftus-Cheek on Thursday talked about how when Thomas Tuchel first came to Chelsea, he came up to him and talked about how much he admired him, how much Thomas Tuchel admired Ruben Loftus-Cheek and his skill set. And he was like, right, you're going to play right wing back for me.
Yes.
And Loftus-Cheek went, no, I'm not. And then he did it anyway. And so obviously Tuchel looks at him and thinks, right, you're obviously a very good midfielder, but I see your talents across the board. You can do many different things on a football field. And when he comes to picking a national squad where you're limited by who you can pick, obviously, it's almost like, as we joked about before, he remembered Loftus-Cheek and was like, oh yeah, he could do that. In the way that, say, other managers have looked at, be it Henderson or even that brief window where Jake Livermore was like, actually, we need a defensive screen and maybe you can actually do that compared to everyone else. So it's quite cool in that regard. And it's also reflective of Loftus-Cheek we have built up as a golden boy for so long.
Yeah.
And, I listened to the show earlier this week where you were all shocked at him being 29, as was I when I heard that on the show for the first time. But when you grow up being a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, you always think of yourself as a centerpiece of any potential midfield, even for your national team. And when that stops becoming the case in your own head, the whole thing goes. And it's probably the first time he's ever had to think of himself as a utility player or a squad player.
I quite like that he said, I just completely forgot about it and was being a fan of the team instead.
Yeah.
I thought that's fine with me.
I don't mind these kind
It's good
of
that we're represented in the team, Peter.
Yeah,
being fans of the
I guess so. Yeah, we're part of the Ruben Loftus-Cheek team, aren't we?
We are.
I don't mind Tuchel having like a Ruben, delicious sandwich.
Yes.
And I don't mind that, but you're allowed one, I think, in the squad where you worked with him before.
You feel like
he perhaps doesn't have the reputation that he thinks that the manager thinks he should have. But I think when you get to players that you've never managed yourself, like Henderson, you're like, come on,
yeah,
let's stop being a bit silly.
I do get that, and I like the fact that you've had your one.
You've had your one.
You're
You're
not
allowed
having
your
Ben
one.
Chilwell as well.
Most great World Cup squads have had that kind of like player, haven't they?
The Connor Cody's.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
although
that's more the Dan Burn
Yeah,
role, I feel.
Loftus-Cheek is really in there because of other players have had to pull out, right? But
I think
an
of
interesting
course,
insight.
yeah.
into
It's important to
Tuchel's
say.
thinking.
I don't think it's outrageous that he's in the squad. When I really started to think about that, or to think about this, because he can play sort of different positions, and that midfield is the conundrum for England. It usually is, isn't it? We know what Kane brings, we know what Saka brings, we know what Palmer brings. The left side of the attack, whether it's Eze or maybe even Grealish, in time, or Gordon or whatever. We know.
Got
yes,
options in
you've got
lots of
options.
positions.
You've seen them before. The defence again, probably Gay and Stones at the back. Blah 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 blah. Pickford in goal, of course. So you kind of get what it's about. Clearly, managers bring different ideas and want their teams to play in different styles. Absolutely, but it is that midfield, and it is Rice and Bellingham and who else is going to be in there when you're talking about starters. But I know you've got starters and finishers now and all this kind of modern parlance, but I don't think, having reflected on this, it is ridiculous and outrageous that Loftus-Cheek's in there.
No, I don't think he'll start anyway. I'd like to see Elliot Anderson in that role.
What did you think of his comments about, because he obviously trained with the Scotland team? And then, again, I thought this was quite refreshing honesty, because we all kind of know this, that there are some players who maybe, and in this example, England, but there'll be other nations as well. Think about the players that France produced, for crying out loud, who will, be from that country, and they'll, whatever they feel nationality-wise, whether it's dual nationality, whatever, that's obviously up to them. But Elliot Anderson said, I feel very English, but said, when I hadn't been picked at age level for England, I thought, he trained for Scotland, then said, but when I felt like in myself, I think I am good enough to play for England. It's delightful. It's again it's one of those things where you know what he means, and everybody knows it. And I don't think anybody's kind of shocked by that. I mean, Bish, you're kind of smirking away over there. What did you think of those comments?
I think it was in keeping with anyone who has trod that path before.
Right.
Whether it was Grealish, Rice,
Yep.
or, players during the 2010s, 2000s, 90s. I'm talking about since we've grown up, where it was like, No, I think I'm better than this.
What, is that what?
That's fundamentally it. Yeah,
Well, is that what Michael Elise did
more
with
high
France?
profile.
Michael
Yeah,
Elise
it
could
is,
have played for England, and he thought, you know
Jamal
what?
Musiala as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's, you know.
It doesn't have to be a feeling English identity thing. It can just be a
100%,
quality thing. You know, oh God.
But I mean, he did say,
and he was
Aaron
in
Wan-Bissaka?
he was in ice
yeah.
baths in bins at Newcastle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's what you did to him.
You say he was acclimatising to playing in Scotland?
exactly. Yeah, sitting in a bin.
Yeah, nice.
full of
I like
ice.
it. Yeah.
I don't know. Look,
But like, it happens, and I think the interesting thing about it was he clearly kept his powder dry by just training with them, because quite a few other players have done it recently. Even like someone like George Hurst, for the call up, was kind of waiting a little bit to see what his age group situation would be like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it happens all the time, and I thought he addressed it well enough, but I mean, you
Could
are
have
just
got
going to make.
deep at a boat in them, couldn't he?
I know, yeah, I kind of wanted that. Yeah, have a go at their food as well. Actually, don't. It's gorgeous. The battered stuff, brilliant.
Yeah. Who doesn't love a neep?
Yeah. Or a tatty. Yeah. But the thing England, I think, should get from this international week is, if you're going to play Elliot Anderson, where are you going to play him? And let him have that space in those games so you can work things out. This has to be about working out that third midfield spot, as you said.
Yeah.
And he looks primed for it.
Yes.
If they give him the chance to prove that he can do it. Yeah.
Well, and he has a chance, because I think Adam Morton's the player that a lot of people would like to see in there. He's injured. You've got a real chance, and this is sometimes how international careers can be made or started or kick-started. So we shall see. I mean, because we're joking about Andorra. England obviously should win that game, but away to Serbia, yes, England are favourites, but it's a sterner test. I mean, you've seen, certainly one result in Slovakia last night. So it's not a given, and it's only top spot. And people go, oh, come on. Well, hang on. It's you've got to make sure you put those games to bed. So
I'd like to see him play both matches, because I think Elliot Anderson is fantastic. He works so hard. He can seem a little bit aimless, a little bit headless chickeny. The way he marches around the pitch, he works so bloody hard. So against Andorra, he will look like a complete footballer. It's against Serbia where you really want to test him, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's got to prove to Tuchel that he can, and I think he can do it, but he's got to prove to Thomas Tuchel, who's the most important person in all of this, that he can do a specific role. Because sometimes, I think about it with Morgan Gibbs-White, actually, his club teammate. If you're the kind of player who looks like he can do everything, people don't trust you to do a specific thing.
Yeah.
Because they think you'll be absent-minded about that specific role.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's what Elliot Anderson has to do over the next week.
Yeah, and just to clarify, by the way, when I was talking about Anderson, you've got Rice and Bellingham as sort of starters. I'm talking generally, because obviously Bellingham's injured; he's not in the squad.
Yeah.
So again, but there's another place there for maybe a Loftus-Cheek. Who knows? Now, Jed Spence will become England's first Muslim player if he makes his debut this week. I know Spurs fans have been, well, certainly some of them have been crying out for him to get a call up for England, so he's in there. He hopes to inspire any child of any faith. So an interesting one for Jed Spence.
I thought that had happened before, weirdly.
Yeah, I'm so surprised by that. I imagine there'd be a lot of people who were raised Muslim who aren't practicing Muslims.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Well,
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a kind of further example of how the England national team is a great sort of example of multiculturalism in this country, and often we see that with players from different kind of ethnic backgrounds. But it's a further example of it of people of different faiths, and it's a shining example of essentially one of the great things about this country at its best, which is that multiculturalism.
Yeah, and football, full stop, actually. And I don't mean that kind of. Not necessarily what happens around it, or what also happens around it in the stands and stuff like that. But when it's such a when it is the most meritocratic sport we have, you end up with just so many different people who just all thrown in together, even at the highest level.
And again, looking at the squad, I mean, Miles Lewis-Skelly's obviously been picked under Tuchel to play at left back as well. But Livramento, obviously played right or left. There's a chance for Spence to get some minutes again. That Andorra game, all joking aside, is a chance.
He's played as a left back, isn't he? Despite being a more natural right back. He might well establish himself there.
Good at going forward as well. So could well get a start there. Right, coming up after this, Wales get a big win away in Central Asia. I say a big win. It was an important win. It was a 1-0 win away to Kazakhstan. Approximately 1,100 Wales fans travelled to the game. Fair play to them.
Wow.
Less about the football, I find, with Welsh fans than just about the crack.
Just about...
Just supporting Wales as a thing.
Yeah, some Wales fans, they were chatting to the BBC. They spoke about just lots of horses, people riding them, people eating them.
Right.
They said they were having a bit of horse meat when they were
Not
there.
the same horses.
Who knows, Jim?
No, like a little biopsy.
Quick turnaround.
Just carve off a bit.
Yeah.
While
I mean, we've all had probably... You remember the horse meat scandal here? We've all
yeah, I've had horse sashimi in Japan.
Have you?
Very pleasant.
Yeah, horse is quite common in Europe.
don't-
Like in Italy as well.
Yeah, but you know you're having it.
Yeah, but I think
that was the
that was
scandal.
the difference for the
the
Sainsbury's
scandal is
lasagnas.
different, yeah.
The horse meat disco in Vauxhall. Used to go that quite a lot back in the day.
Should I ask?
It's just a gay night.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Right.
Yeah, there wasn't a buffet full
There
of
wasn't
horse.
a buffet full of horse. That would be confusing.
Okay.
Different
Well,
kind
I
of
suppose
buffet.
in a way there kind of was. But
But there was at least one buff man there looking at pizza.
Exactly, yeah.
You know.
I reckon there's probably more than one buff man at that.
Hence, I said
that
at
night.
least, but I
Yeah.
haven't been there, so I
No.
don't want to
Yeah.
to say that. We can ask Peter later.
Can I ask, sartorially, when you go to those nights, do you
Tops
try
off.
and okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to
Tops off, sniffing bobbers all night.
Speaking of handsome buff men, Kiefer Moore scored the only goal for Wales. It was his 50th cap for Wales. He scored 5 in his last 6 Wales games. Lovely striker's instinct, Jim, is all I can really kind of squeeze out of that goal.
yeah, and that game really, because it was
Let's talk about our
essentially
favourite Moors.
it was an exercise in just getting it done, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Because I think they only had one proper training session together because of the travel involved. So it's very, very difficult to for Bellamy to really implement the absolute sort of grand master plan of what he wants his Wales team to be in this fixture. Just got to get over there, get it done, give your incredible supporters something to have a good time about. They're going to have a good time anyway. But yeah, I mean, and Kiefer Moore has just stepped up and done his... just pressed the big lad button there, isn't he, basically?
When that goal went in, I thought, oh, thank goodness they got a goal.
Big lads
you
are back.
travel that far and it was a 0-0. Oh, it's absolute sickness. Yeah, so an important win for Wales, of course, as they are in their group. Obviously, top spot is the only one guaranteed to go through.
Yeah, and they've got Belgium in there, haven't they? Because of course they do.
Yeah, well, obviously, Jim. And that was what was a bit of a sickener for them when they lost that game in Belgium 4-3. But Wales, it's still in their hands. There's still a chance. I mean, this game, they've still got to play Belgium at home. That's the big one, of course. But even if they were to win that and then beat North Macedonia at home, which again is not a given, they're a tricky side, and then I think they play Liechtenstein. It would, if all being well, you would think perhaps the goal difference may be important.
Yeah.
And Belgium currently a couple of goals above them on that. So it's very interesting. It's all to play for. They've given themselves a good chance. So 6 wins from 11 under Craig Bellamy, who's... We're enjoying Bellamy at Wales, Jim.
Definitely. He seems like a completely different person from who he was as a player. But he's genuinely quite inspiring, isn't he? And you see that kind of filtering through to his team.
Did you like that quote that he said to 19-year-old Dylan Lawler, who made his first senior start for Wales? And on Playing for Your Country So Young, Craig Bellamy said, when someone says you can't, it's because they're so afraid that you will.
Yeah,
Was he holding a golf club when he said
It's
that?
quite pretty. I mean, but
Come
we go
on.
back. But we go back to the golf club stuff. Like maybe he was just someone who didn't like the pomposity of a lot of football. Maybe he was
that's
back then.
definitely true.
Yeah.
But there
Maybe
are
he was
ways to go
somebody-
about showing your
Maybe he was
disgust.
just somebody who was just, far more intelligent than the average footballer, he says. I mean, he did wave around a golf club, so it's not particularly clever, but maybe he was. I'm just massively reappraising my thoughts about Craig Bellamy.
Well, didn't he always deny the golf club thing?
Yeah.
He did
maybe.
the celebration, which was quite funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be fair play to him for
Not
that.
really much of a denial, I guess.
No, no, indeed. Well, after 5 games, Wales sit top of their qualifying group. So far, so good.
Up yours, Belgium.
Yeah. What about this, though, Jim? Northern Ireland started their World Cup qualifying campaign, beating Luxembourg 3-1 away. And with that result, they topped their group on goal difference because Slovakia could only beat Germany 2-0.
I mean, there's only 4 teams in that group.
Yeah.
Come on, Germany.
Well,
Come on, Germany. Mess this up.
Yeah, I mean, it was a kind of Newcastle United alumni. Obviously you've got Voltemade up front for Germany, and Dubravka keeping the clean sheet in goal.
That's right, yeah. He seems
Slovakia.
completely unbothered by
Yeah.
a massive striker coming down.
He made some good saves, old
He
Dubravka.
did make some. Well, he's a very
He's
good
a
shot
good keeper.
stopper.
Yeah.
Very good shot
He's a
stopper.
good keeper.
How they miss him, or do they? I don't know. I'll let you be the judge. But yeah, so I mean, it's one of those ones when you're in a group like that, with Northern Ireland are, with, you've got Slovakia, Germany, and Luxembourg. Luxembourg, it's one of those games, you get it done, get the win. And you would think that it would be Northern Ireland, Slovakia looking to shoot it out for second place. But with Germany losing, it's kind of like, is that good for Northern Ireland, if you see what I mean? Because sometimes you get the teams who are trying to finish second think, you just want one team to blow everybody away. Right? That's them done, and then a kind of straight shootout.
I don't know, in a 4-team group, though,
But it puts pressure on Northern Ireland because, again, you would think they'll be going up against Slovakia for second, and Slovakia have just got a really, really good win. So I don't know. But the fact is, if we froze it all now, Northern Ireland would be going to the States next summer.
Well,
or Canada or Mexico, they're involved.
Do that then.
I can't because I'm not Thanos or whatever somebody could do. Tonight, Denmark versus Scotland. Scotland start their World Cup qualifying away in Denmark. Steve Clarke's reign as Scotland manager is expected to come to an end at the end of this World Cup cycle. Note that Scottish producer Rory has quite humbly said World Cup cycle and didn't say the World Cup finals themselves. Is he confident? Is he confident? He's shaking his head.
No.
Yeah. I mean, Clark's not actually far off becoming the longest serving manager in terms of games played, which is really something.
Right, okay.
Like,
Without any strikers.
He's been there a lot longer than...
I have a bit of respect for Che Adams.
Without any goal scorers.
I always think when Che Adams...
Without any lads who can get that ball in the onion bag.
when Che Adams, I suppose... I don't really know how to describe it, but, when he made himself eligible for Scotland or available to Scotland... it was because there was we talked about it before, it's because there was a space there, specifically in a position that he filled and that they needed as well. And I like the idea of the first training session. They're like, right, so like, what kind of striker you use? I'll mainly just like drop off the top. For fuck's sake. Mainly like go into the channels, like give it, fuck off.
It's not where the goal is it?
I mean, if that was their response, you would be right to say you should have done an ounce of research on the man. But yes, I take the point.
Surely with the squad he's got and the players he's got available, the sensible thing for his striker is to make him a foil for Scott McAdonna.
Now you're talking.
This is the interesting thing, isn't
Ballon
it?
d'Or nominated Scott McTominay.
Yeah, because like it should realistically, and I appreciate they've done it in parts, and he has played a different role for Scotland, even compared to the one he played for Manchester United when he was playing for Scotland in that first bit. But I suppose he shouldn't he? But Clarke should sit down and be like, right, we need to reimagine this. For that reason, you have
go down swinging.
Well, no, but you have you basically have a free role. We're going to put blinders on you, Scott McTominay.
Yep.
You basically operate in a straight channel from midfield to our furthest player forward.
You've got John McGinn's arse behind you. Don't worry about behind you.
No, but you're right, though. I mean, I don't want to
people rightly would rock up to Scotland games in that setting and be like, how do we deal with this?
I don't want to sort of, go overboard with this. But, Scaloni with Argentina at the World Cup, it's like, let's just, the whole team around Messi. Scotland need a Rodrigo de Paul.
Yes.
That's what they need. That's what I'm saying, Jim. All right?
Give it Scott.
Give it Scott.
Give it Scott. Don't worry about anything else.
But
Give it Scott.
Right, that when you have a player who's obviously quality,
and not only that, he's just on incredibly
form.
Well. He's on huge form as well.
He's produced it for everybody, apart from Man United in places. Again,
but again, he played we came through at United in the role he's playing now.
Yes,
and then was a deep lying midfielder and wasn't very good at it.
But he obviously performed all right for Man United, hence getting his move to Napoli. But I think you absolutely have to play to that strength because he's according to the Ballon d'Or, he's one of the best players in the world. So fine, up yours. He's the best player in Serie A, was last year. But look, in the qualifying group, Scotland have got Denmark, Greece and Belarus, which is one of those ones where you go, away trip to Greece and Belarus, it's a difficult one. But then Denmark, you could have done a lot worse. Yeah. That's not France. It's not Spain. That is a team that Scotland can beat.
Last time they met, Scotland beat them 2-0.
And by the way, they did beat Spain. I understand that, but you get the picture.
I mean, it's another 4-team group, and this one is they're starting with the hardest fixture. Ryan Christie said it's sort of like 6 cup finals, but I think it's more like a cup run where you start with the final, Denmark away first. Surely the toughest fixture.
Yeah, you would think so.
Even that, Ryan Christie, had such a good season with Bournemouth last year.
Yes,
there is everything there.
That's right.
For them to qualify next year, and for actually to be Clark signing off with a World Cup appearance rather than just qualification.
This has been the problem, though, isn't it, under Clark? You've got these players in there, and it looks like a very good team on paper, and sometimes they perform really well, and sometimes they get these big marquee results. But it's been about keeping it consistent. Mm-hmm. That's been the trouble that he's had.
Or even when they turn up to the tournaments, the 2 Euros, they just, it doesn't happen, and it's quite disappointing. But I think reaching a World Cup for the first time since 1998, it would be some achievement. And as you say, look, when I say about the group, I actually think this group does favour, more so Scotland. I think it's a better group than, say, Northern Ireland have got, for example. I know Scotland are a better team than Northern Ireland, but Scotland can beat those three sides, and all the teams can take points off each other. But again, I think that goes in Scotland's favour because they've got a better team than Greece and Belarus. Obviously, Denmark. I think that the Danes might be a slightly higher
Greece
than them.
Are tricky at the moment. They've got a lot of youthful exuberance.
They are. That's fair to say, as we saw with England as well. But I think this is a real chance, and I think being in a 4-team group helps definitely. So but they start tonight away in Denmark, so an intriguing fixture. Elsewhere, the Republic of Ireland start their World Cup qualifying campaign at home to Hungary. Portugal and Armenia are the other teams in Ireland's group. Hungary. We know, as England fans, we know what Hungary are like, a very dogged opponent. Scotland know that as well. Portugal always dangle the carrot of, are we not going to qualify? Yes, we are. I think they always do that. I think it's a bit different maybe in recent times, but
for Ireland and Scotland, it's going to be a tricky task.
Tricky is the word of the day. Now, before we say cheerio, a couple of things here to do, ultimately to do with next year's World Cup. But we go to South America first. Lionel Messi played in his last match for Argentina on home soil. He scored a brace in a 3-0 win against Venezuela. He said he might play at the World Cup next year.
He's going to be at the World Cup next year.
I think he has to, doesn't he?
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Contractually obliged.
MLS contract.
Genuinely, yeah. I feel like there'll be a lot riding on him playing in that World Cup.
I think some sponsors would be particularly aggrieved if he didn't do it. But he said
this could well be a negotiation tactic.
That might be.
Given the state of football at the moment, I would not be surprised if this has been sold as like a. Well, I'll think about it.
Yeah.
It's like,
he said he'll see.
Does this help you think about it a bit more?
Yeah, he said he'll see how his fitness is and blah blah blah.
He wants to concentrate on his Saudi tourism job, isn't he? So,
I think so. Yeah. Will he be at the 2034 World Cup in Saudi?
Yes, probably.
Yeah. Was that in the small print, Lionel? You missed out there. Well, I mean, there were emotional scenes in Argentina, as you'd imagine. So it was quite something, really, to see him and to see people crying in the stands and all the rest of it. It means so much to them, and at a level which, once again, before Qatar 2022, we didn't think he might reach those kind of levels, bearing in mind of who set the bar in that country. So for him to have a moment like that where he says, this is farewell on home soil, as I say, we're pretty sure he will play at the World Cup. Great moment for the talented young man, Vish.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's basically taken a lifetime for him to come out from Maradona's shadow. For some people it only takes a season, doesn't it? But if you want to dedicate your life to it, then fair play to you, and well done for finally doing it.
Yeah, I almost guarantee that Argentina will play all of their games in America rather than Canada or Mexico.
In Miami specifically.
The other thing about it as well is that you can totally understand the reluctance to say goodbye to that kind of player.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're saying goodbye to a lot of things with it. When he walks away, he takes an entire generation, entire field, an entire style of play with him that, I don't know, you're kind of, I'm not a religious man, but people are touched by something when they play in the way that he does. And that's going to go. And that's done.
Taking away an entire industry as well. Do you know how many people make money out of Lionel Messi, not even tangentially related to his own business interests, just online? People just make money out of doing Messi stuff. And Ronaldo stuff. And when they both go, what are they going to do?
Yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo will play at the next World Cup. I'm playing.
At what point does it get really weird if both of them just keep going? They're both like 50 odd. And they're sort of still in the shape that they're in now.
Do you think World Cups are going to turn into when you see a random photo from Ibiza at Lineker's? And Wayne's just being a player. Is that what that's what it's going to be like?
Like a sort of a Legends tournament. But still being there.
Could they get bits replaced? That's what Xi Jinping and Putin were talking about. Get your organs replaced.
There you are.
Because that's
New organs.
straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
There's the solution. We finally found it. Well,
Cristiano Ronaldo or Hart?
yes. It's been announced that FIFA will use dynamic pricing for World Cup tickets.
It's Oasis-esque. Wankers.
You have to say it, Peter.
Yeah. How many tickets is Robbie Earl getting? Or Dwight Gale.
What
actually.
a reference.
Yeah.
Officially or unofficially? The
It
two are different.
It was a big post Ramble Patreon section we did on Wednesday, just all about Robbie Earl getting a ridiculous amount of. Did he get 40? We'll do it on the main show. 40 tickets to the final.
2010 World Cup.
2010 World Cup.
was
40 tickets for the final.
Imagine how many he had for the group stages.
I know. Yeah.
Fish, the three.
It was like 200 odd.
Jim, Pete, and I, with brother Luke Moore as well, we were quite literally in Johannesburg that day, scouring around Soccer City, admittedly like quite a few hours before kickoff. And I think there was one bloke.
There's one bloke who was selling tickets for $1,000 each.
Yeah. I was more than that, I think.
Yeah.
Either
It was
or.
$1,500, I think. Yeah.
Either or, it doesn't. You don't need me to tell you that World Cup tickets are quite hard to.
It was Robbie Earl.
40 of the buggers.
Well, this is part of the reason why the dynamic pricing is such a slap in the face, because it's on top of the initial slap in the face, which is a third of the tickets for most of these
Just aren't
events
available
go
for people,
to like corporate tickets and sponsors and things like that. So the actual kind of supporters of those the countries that make the final in the stands are quite limited anyway. And then the prices are massively jacked up for those that can make it. It's grim.
And it's disgraceful that the reason their dynamic pricing exists is because they see it on resale websites and they're like, oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
People are buying them for that much.
Yeah.
So
It's
They
also
do that because they can't get them.
Yeah.
But they exist across the board. I mean, train companies, airlines, they all use dynamic pricing. So
Yeah.
it's nothing new. We just don't think of it like that, because you think, oh, well, how much is a ticket for a final? $500 or whatever. It's obviously be a lot of money. You kind of go, well, the prices will initially, and sadly, I stress initially, range from $60 in the group stages to over $6,000 for the final. So if, $6,000, you're thinking, that's a lot of money. Oh, it could be more than that by the time the final rolls around. But there we are. We're still looking forward to it because we are football fans and taken for a ride.
There's probably quite a good chance that Pitbull will get some of those tickets, right? Doesn't
Yeah,
he have
exactly
some
so,
sort of
yeah.
involvement in a stadium?
Jim, I think it's fair to say he owes me.
I wonder, do we know
His
anyone
best
who
guy is hype man.
Do we know anyone who's dressed up as past for Pitbull?
Recently.
fancy
No, I
dress
don't know.
and-
Yeah, good point, actually.
Wow.
Come on, old Pitters, get me involved. Right then. Hello. This afternoon, Jack's Encyclopedia's back. Marcus v Vish v Jim.
Is this the first time we've played it?
This season,
This
yeah.
season, yeah.
Oh, because we're a full manner.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we're doing My Biddy Aunt.
Yeah.
Yes, you see. So today's episode of Jack's Encyclopedia will be available later this afternoon. So make sure you subscribe to the Football Ramble in your podcast app so you do not miss it.